Looks to me like some folks maybe forgot to change that clock this morning. I was one of them, but good morning and thank you for being here. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Society. We are grateful to gather on this beautiful morning, both in person and online, for a time of inspiration, reflection, and connection. Whether you join us today with joy in your heart or weighted with burdens or searching for meaningful connections, we are so glad you're here. My name is Kwanda Hood. I'm a Unitarian Universalist worship associate, and my pronouns are she, her. I am a middle-aged West Indian woman standing in the UUS pulpit at the front of our sanctuary, and today I'm wearing a purple sweatshirt and black pants, and I forgot my purple shoes. I was going to rock those as well, but nonetheless. Our sanctuary is filled with people of all ages. Through the window walls of our sanctuary, we connect to the outdoors where it is a glorious, beautiful day, and I'm hoping it's going to warm up for us a little bit later. As we gather, we give thanks to this land and all who have cared for it over the centuries, particularly the Kickapoo, the Iowa, the Sauk, the Mizwaukee, and the Oceti Sichuan nations. As people of many ages, genders, and sexual orientations, classes, abilities, and health statuses, we know how important it is to come together as a radically welcoming community. As Unitarian Universalists, our faith expresses our core value of love through how we agree to be together and to support each other. We are guided by the shared principles, sources, and values of our living religious tradition. And this morning, we are going to honor transformation. We will celebrate and explore the inherent worth and dignity of every person. If you're newer to our congregation, we invite you to learn more about us after the service. For those here in person, you can talk to a greeter in the atrium. For those online, there is a link to the visitor form in the YouTube notes that will let us connect with you. And now, our call to worship.
Good morning. Pronouns are she, her. I'm so delighted to be with you this morning. Reverend Diana and I are in a collegial group and we meet at retreats, and she is just well loved. She's a delightful leader amongst our colleagues, so I'm so grateful to be here. I am a white woman in my 40s, and I have chin-length blonde hair, and I'm wearing a navy blazer with a white shirt, black pants, and a necklace that belonged to my mother. Let us breathe and arrive here. The hard part's already over. You woke up, you got here an hour earlier than you're used to. And now we can be. We can be here. In this moment and this moment, slowing down to reconnect with the unfolding of life. RSVPing yes to the party. RSVP, yes, I'm coming. I'm here. I'm here for the party of life's belonging. Feel into the space in between your feet, your fingers, your lungs. Perhaps climbing down from the tower of thought into the whole being that expresses life. Feeling into the space beyond ourselves, between ourselves. We hear little kids. I hear a clinking of something mechanical. I hear the sounds of this beautiful space with a fan. Let's be here for all of it, saying yes again and again to the party of life's belonging.
And now our opening hymn, number 1010, We Give Thanks.
Are able and join me in singing from the Teal hymnal, We Give Thanks, hymn number 1010.
As Unitarian Universalists, we light a flame within a chalice as a symbol of sanctuary and safety, to unite us in our worship and to remind us of our ongoing search for the light of truth. Please join me in saying our chalice lighting words as Xander lights our chalice. Life is a gift for which we are grateful. We gather in community to celebrate the wonder and the mystery of this great gift. So let us now kindle the flame of our liberal religious heritage and renew our covenant of mutual love and care. Love is our doctrine, the quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. Dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, and to serve those in need. This we promise, this we covenant with life and one another. Each week we light a candle for justice and healing to acknowledge our interdependence with the natural world and all the members of the global community, especially those most vulnerable. We light this candle so that we may not be numb to the injustice and trauma, but rather find strength, courage, and love as we work in solidarity with others for liberation, justice, and healing. Together, we create resilience and hope. Today, as we light this candle, we're particularly mindful of the ongoing conflicts around the globe and here at home. We keep a special place in our heart for the ongoing erasure of LGBTQIA+ rights. As I light this candle, let's hold a time of silence to listen to our hearts and bodies, or perhaps to lift up prayers. And now, time for all ages. With Nick Kaplan, there's no such thing as a dragon.
Thank you, Kwanda. So, little snafu, technical difficulties today. Our pictures from our story will, Our pictures from our story will not be on the slides. So if you would like to see our pictures, please feel free to come forward. I will do my best to share with those all around me. There are plenty of chairs up front, and I will describe to you what is happening in our storybook. But please feel free to adjust where you are if you would like to be able to see the wonderful illustrations. So as Kwanda said, my name is Nick Kaplan. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm the grateful director of Lifespan Religious Education here at UUS. And our story is There's No Such Thing as a Dragon by Jack Kent. Whoa, The title has already caused some controversies up here. So Billy Bixby was rather surprised when he woke up one morning and found a dragon in his room. It was a small dragon, about the size of a kitten. So here we have a young child in a bedroom, in bed, eyes are wide. He is definitely surprised because there's a little reddish, orangish, and yellow dragon-shaped thing sitting on the end of his bed. The dragon wagged its tail happily when Billy patted its head. Aww. There's Billy patting the dragon on the head. Billy went downstairs to tell his mother. "There's no such thing as a dragon," said Billy's mother, and she said it like she meant it. So there they are. Billy's pointing. Mother's making breakfast of some kind, it looks like, stirring things in a bowl. So Billy went back to his room and began to dress. The dragon came close to Billy and wagged its tail. We can see that happening here in the picture. But Billy didn't pat it. If there's no such thing as something, it's silly to pat it on the head. So there's Billy, ignoring the dragon. Billy washed his face and his hands and went down to breakfast. The dragon went along. It was bigger now, almost the size of a dog. So there's Billy walking down the stairs, the dragon's following and peeking out, and the dragon has grown. That's true, dogs are different sizes. A medium-sized one. Billy sat down at the table. The dragon sat down. Do you see this? The dragon sat down on the table. This sort of thing was not usually permitted, but there wasn't much Billy's mother could do about it. She had already said there's no such thing as a dragon. And if there's no such thing, you can't tell it to get down off the table. So there they are. And there's the dragon sitting on the table. Mother made some pancakes for Billy, but the dragon ate them all. Mother made some more, but the dragon ate those too. Mother kept making pancakes until she ran out of batter. There she is with her empty bowl. Billy only got one, but he said that's all he really wanted anyway. So there's Billy hiding under the table to eat his one pancake. Billy went upstairs to brush his teeth. Mother started cleaning the table. The dragon, who was quite as big as Mother now by this time, made himself comfortable on the hall rug and went to sleep. You see him there in the hallway, sleeping. By the time Billy came back downstairs, the dragon had grown so much he filled the hall. Look how big he is now. Billy had to go around by the way of the living room to get to where his mother was. I didn't know dragons grew so fast, said Billy. There's no such thing as a dragon, said Mother firmly. It's so frustrating. Cleaning the downstairs took Mother all morning. What with the dragon in the way. So there are pictures of Mother trying to clean around and under the dragon and having to climb in and out of windows to get from room to room. There's Mother climbing in the window so that she can get to a new room. By noon, the dragon filled the house. Its head hung out the front door, its tail hung out the back door, and there wasn't room in the house that didn't have some part of dragon in it. Look at that. The dragon's just spilling out all over the place. When the dragon awoke from its nap, he was hungry. A bakery truck went by. The smell of fresh bread was more than the dragon could resist. The dragon ran down the street after the bakery truck. The house went along, of course, like a shell on a snail. So we can see the dragon, its tongue out like it's a big puppy dog, going after that bread. The mailman was just coming up the path with some mail for the Bixbys when their house rushed past him and headed down the street. He chased the Bixby's house for a few blocks, but he couldn't catch it. There it goes through the neighborhood. When Mr. Bixby came home for lunch, the first thing he noticed was the house was gone. Luckily, one of the neighbors was able to tell him which way it went. So there's a picture with a missing house, and the neighbors pointing to Mr. Bixby because the dragon left with the house. Mr. Bixby got in his car and went looking for the house. He studied all the houses as he drove along. Finally, he saw one that looked familiar. Billy and Mrs. Bixby were waving from an upstairs window. We can see that here as the dragon eats all the bread from the truck. Yeah, that dragon's super hungry. Mr. Bixby climbed over the dragon's head onto the porch roof and through an upstairs window. "How did this happen?" Mr. Bixby asked. "It was the dragon," said Billy. "There's no such thing," Mother started to say. "There is a dragon," Billy insisted. "A very big dragon." And Billy patted the dragon on the head. Dragon's got some bread falling out of its mouth, and Billy's reaching out of the window to pat it on its head. The dragon wagged its tail happily. Then, even faster than it had grown, the dragon started getting smaller. Soon, it was kitten-sized again. Aww. "I don't mind dragons this size," said Mother. "Why did it have to get so big?" "Because you didn't pat it on the head." Well, let's see what Billy says. "I'm not sure," said Billy, "but I think it just wanted to be noticed." And there's our dragon friend eating from a little kitten-sized dish that says dragon. Aww. Hopefully they got the house moved back. So that's our story for today, and now we're at the part of our service where if any children or youth would like to head to our classes, we will come light our lantern. Riley's going to light our lantern today as Emily sings us and our teachers out to class.
Take with you the flame from our chalice. Take with you the light and the hope. Take with you the blessings and love. Explore our faith and grow. Take this flame as you go. Take with you the flame from our chalice. Take with you the light and the hope. Take with you the blessings and love. Explore our faith and grow. Take this flame as you go.
Thank you. I think if somebody read to me like that, I'd probably read more often. Our congregation is made up of many people and of many communities. We gather in ways to learn, sing, laugh, share meals, try new things, and to help repair our beautiful, broken world. Together, we create community that nurtures us as we seek to live, love more fully and fiercely into this world. This morning, Jenny Schmidt, the Executive Director of the Free Medical Clinic, is here to share about our March community partner and why UUS supports this agency. And my apologies, we just got those slides in this morning. They're a little light, so they might be a little bit difficult to read, but I know that Jenny's going to do a great job of talking about the free medical clinic. Jenny?
Hi. I got a timer here because I know I got to keep it to 5 minutes. And in the back, they're freaked out that I have a lot of slides, but they're just to help my memory. So I am Jenny Schmidt. I'm the executive director of the Iowa City Free Medical and Dental Clinic. I am a white woman who was raised Jewish, and I'm living a Quakish life at the Scattergood Friends School with my partner who runs their farm. And we think of the UU as a partner in crime, and it's great to be here. So thank you. All right. The Iowa City Free Medical Clinic is, I always like to start these talks with, I think we're a couple slides ahead, but that's okay. I want you to just think about the last time you needed medical or dental help. What did you do? And what would have happened if you couldn't have gone to seek that help? My guess is most people in this room were able to get that help that they needed. That's who the Iowa City Free Medical and Dental Clinic is here for. I like to say we're an important fourth choice for the uninsured and underinsured. They can either pay out of pocket to go to private practice. They can spend on average $1,400 or so to go to an emergency room. They can delay or forego care, or they have a fourth choice. They can come to the Iowa City Free Medical and Dental Clinic, where they will get a friendly encounter with high quality medical and dental service. Who we're seeing are patients who have not been to a doctor in many years in many cases. Most of our patients are living below the federal poverty line, and then a small percentage are between 100 and 200% of the federal poverty line. About 60% of our patients speak Spanish. We offer fully translated and interpreted services, which is about 90% of the time with a live interpreter. When we need to, we'll rely on an app. We are always looking for help in interpretation. If you happen to be fluent in Spanish, French, or Arabic, those are our current biggest needs. The Iowa City Free Medical and Dental Clinic, we hold 7 clinics a week and 2 dental clinics and 1 hygiene clinic a week. Through these, we offer chronic care, acute care, and specialty care. We have ophthalmology, orthopedics, physical therapy, rheumatology, dermatology, among others. We also offer our patients, we have a lab on site. We're able to read A1C numbers for the 40% of our patients living with diabetes or prediabetes. Patients leave their appointments with all the medications that they need, or a voucher to go get those medications if it's something we don't carry. And this is something that we're really proud to be able to do. We are the supplier of insulin for all of our diabetic patients. We also offer diabetic education right on on premises. We have dental clinics 2 days a week. We've really been struggling to find dental volunteers. Again, if any of you are dentists or know a dentist, we're looking for those, but we were blessed to receive a grant and able to hire a 10-hour-a-week dentist this year, and he's already on the way to doubling. Since he started in October, he's already seen more patients than we were able to see in the last 2 years combined, which is really great. And a double fortune of our particular dentist is he's Ecuadorian born, and his assistant was born in Mexico. So again, we're not only offering translated, like in that case, we're not even offering translated services, we're just offering first language services. One thing I want you to know is we really appreciate your support. We just received a beautiful check from y'all for our dental services, which is really appreciated. We're so lucky to have this new dentist. It's also raising all of our supplies and equipment needs and costs. We are supported mostly by donors and individuals in the community like you. We also have generous support from Iowa City, Coralville, North Liberty, and the United Way, along with grants. Coming up in the next 2 years, Iowa City and Johnson County have granted us some of the American Rescue Plan Action Building Capacity grants, and we will be doing a complete renovation of our upper and lower levels, including installing an elevator and an ADA staircase so that we can be fully operational on 2 levels. We're doing this because of the great demand. It's not abating. The ACA helped a lot of people, but it's leaving a lot of people out. And so we're really looking forward to having this additional space, but the additional space will mean we'll need additional support from the community to increase the services given. So thank you very much for your support.
All right, thank you so much, Jenny. And I'll just give our wonderful AV team a second to catch up. Good. All right. For the free medical clinic, cash or checks may be given to an usher, mailed to UUS, put agency name in the memo line, or donate online at the address that you see on the screen. How we give and what we do with our lives, our time and our resources is a reflection of our values. In response to the abundant we are blessed with, every week this congregation donates generously to organizations in the community whose work aligns with our values and principles. Our community partner agency this month is the Free Medical Clinic, which Jenny Smith just told us about earlier. In the sanctuary, the ushers will collect the offering, or you can follow the instructions on the screen on how to give online. All cash contributions go directly to our community partner agency. In addition to assisting our community partner, you may contribute towards your pledge to our society, or contribute to the congregation to provide additional support for our operating expenses. You may also contribute by check using the memo line to designate the purpose. The offering is a sign of commitment to this free congregation, which is completely supported by the generosity of all those who join with us. As we give and receive the offering, may we be transformed by our giving, and may the world be transformed by our gifts. Beautiful, thank you. Nurturing gratitude and how we understand and express interdependence is part of how we live into our Unitarian Universalist faith. As we enter into our time of meditation, contemplation, and prayer, we acknowledge the joys and sorrows of our congregation. We do this by dropping stones into a bowl of water, symbolically immersing our personal joys and sorrows into the flow of life's joys and sorrows. The water surrounds and holds the stone, just as we are surrounded and held by the love and support of this congregation. For those who would like to share their joys and sorrows in conversation in a smaller venue, the Pastoral Care Associates will be leading a Compassionate Connection Circle in the Walnut Room immediately following today's service. These circles, which happen on the second and fourth Sundays, are opportunities to share with and support each other in our life's journeys. If you're participating in the service elsewhere, you may wish to meditatively hold a stone, wash your hands, or meditate on an object near you. And now, if you're in the sanctuary, please come forward, take a stone from the basket, and place your stone in the water as we sing together.
A voice at the door calling to you, come home, come home. A fish out of water, hearing the waves, come home, come home. A falcon at the hunt, hearing the drums, come home, come home. This turning towards what you deeply love, come home, come home. This book of your life, written in your body, come home, come home. A voice to your soul says, lift up your foot, come home, come home. A voice to your soul says, cross over now, come home, come home. Come home, come home. Come home, come home.
Coming home again into this moment, an invitation to shift from thinking into feeling, from doing into being. Perhaps you take a sigh with me. If you want to, you can do it again. Filling up. Vibrations of our own sound, softening the tissues around the jaw, the throat, the esophagus, the collarbone, the places we can hold so much. Just, Coming home into this moment, bringing awareness perhaps to the sensations of your own body. A tingling in my chest, feeling my feet on the floor, energy running up my spine. Perhaps it's the movement of your breath that helps you come home to this moment. The physicality of opening to receive, to take in, or the release of emptying, expanding and reaching out into the space. With the inhale, I feel my shoulders rise. With the exhale, I feel them fall. If the sensations of your body aren't comfortable or a safe resource for you right now, perhaps you connect with the ease and spaciousness that's being created right here amongst us. Where do you notice ease? Does it have a sound, a posture? Are there ways of being in the people around you who let you know that care and community are here right now for you? Perhaps you feel your hand holding your own or another's. The softness, the texture of the sweater. Maybe you notice the temperature, the sound of our air circulation, the piano, the colors of the people and the light, and the renewal of the ground outside. Whatever draws your awareness into this moment, this life, give thanks. Give room. Give loyalty. RSVP again and again, yes, to the party of life's belonging. It is always here. Just so you know, there's some loud stomping in this story, and not the most skillful way of addressing one's problems through stomping, but alas, it is an illustration in our story, so you know.
When little John was about a year old, his parents noticed very thin fibers protruding through his pores. After another few months, the fibers had extended themselves. They began to form curls. The condition alarmed his parents, so they took little John to a doctor.
After examining him carefully, the physicians called in several specialists, and after conferring for several hours, they reported that little John was unique in medical history. His ganglia, or nerve endings, they were growing outside of his skin. Since there was no record of this ever having happened before, it wasn't clear what the ultimate effects of such a condition would be. And since little John was otherwise in excellent health, it was decided to do nothing for a while but observe.
Of course, one immediate problem was little John's rapidly developing extreme sensitivity to everything and everyone around him. The doctors alerted his parents, warning them that they must be super sensitive to his every move and touch. Being very sensitive people anyway, they agreed.
As little John grew, so did his ganglia, until they trailed about him as he walked. And while it was not a pretty sight, surprisingly, it turned out to have some advantages. For example, he learned from the very beginning, first from his ever-concerned parents, and then from others, that he could always count on someone else watching out for him.
Indeed, he learned early in life that anyone who came into his orbit would always pay attention to his every move for fear of hurting him. He found that he could plow a path through any group of friends just by walking toward them.
People would always retreat as his advance for fear of stepping on his feelings. And when he engaged in sports, or just when he wanted to be first in line, all he had to do was choose the direction that he chose, and his approach itself proved to be an open sesame.
Sometimes he encountered people who had not been forewarned about his condition. And then he had to point it out as early in the relationship as possible. Once they understood, however, they never tried to get in his way.
All of this is not to say that individuals never felt resentment toward little John. Some of his classmates, and one of his brothers in particular, who were most competitive with him for certain goals, they felt stifled by his condition. But they never spoke it aloud, all managed to quiet their resentment with self-recriminations about their own insensitivity.
And so it went. Little John graduated high school.
Having done fewer homework assignments than any other child who ever attended,
And he attained a secure job.
though less qualified than most of those seeking the same positions. And then one day, he met a woman.
Being extremely shy and not having enough confidence or experience to refute her own poor image of herself, she was thrilled at the advances of this very attentive, if what somewhat strange creature. She treated him with the utmost deference, and her pity soon became love. Everywhere they went, she watched out for him. In time, the guiding principle of her life became, how can I help this man avoid pain?
But after they'd been married a while, she began to tire. Still, she tried, for this poor man could not help himself, but it became increasingly difficult for her to be constantly mindful of his needs. She decided to confess her increasing insensitivity to her friends. She mentioned it to her family, to her minister, to her doctor, and they all comforted and sympathized with her, but could offer her little practical advice. So they urged her, be more patient.
She tried again to shape her existence to his needs, and then the headache started.
And then the tick in her eye,
Soon she found she was losing weight.
colitis further restricting her freedom. And it wasn't long before thoughts of suicide were with her.
She dared not tell little John, of course, for fear of hurting him.
Why, if he knew that all of this was due to his condition, he would be inconsolable.
One day as she was walking home, she chanced upon a mother cat nursing her newborn kittens. As they scrambled over one another in their thirst, the mother carefully guided each one to its turn, stretching out a firm but gentle paw as she lay contentedly on her side.
And then little John's wife noticed that one of the kittens had been born lame. Its leg had not fully formed, and it had some more difficulty maneuvering than the others. But strangely, it was also the most aggressive. While the other kittens, when satisfied, went off to sleep, this one kept wiggling back in front of the thirsty others. Each time, however, the mother cat pushed it away, at first gently, and then with successively harder whacks.
Little John's wife watched the poor kitty and the inhumane mother. But when she returned home, upon finding her husband reading in a room, she planted herself in the doorway and began to stare. A little while later, little John, desiring to enter another room, marched straight for the doorway that framed his wife. She did not budge. Closer he came, closer, never thinking actually to ask her to move. After all, he had never had anyone ask to get out of his way before. Suddenly he stopped, confused. What should I do? First he assumed his most wounded look. Then he tried one that was more winsome and boyish. But his wife was like a rock. In desperation, he finally spoke.
Move, you know I cannot squeeze by.
Nothing.
What's the matter with you? What are you trying to do to me? This is like a trap.
Then she did begin to move, not aside, but rather directly towards him.
He retreated.
She continued on.
He moved back faster, but still on she came, and soon he was cornered. Have you lost your mind? He said incredulously. Careful there. You almost hurt me, he said pathetically.
And that did it. She raised her foot and stomped with all her might down hard on one of his trailing nerve
He
endings.
screeched, either from pain or shock.
And again she stomped, and again and again.
And he ran past her, but she pursued, and he screeched again. And the scream just encouraged her more. Stop, stop. She continued chasing him from room to room, up the stairs, down the stairs, from the attic to the cellar, through the kitchen to the bedroom, where, until exhausted, they both collapsed and fell asleep.
When little John's wife awoke, her headache was gone for the first time in months.
That little tick in her eye, it was gone.
And for the first time in a very long time, she sighed without pain and felt relaxed.
But more astounding still was what she saw beside her. For when she looked over at little John, she found that his ganglia were no longer curled all about him or the floor.
On closer examination, she realized that they had disappeared altogether. In fact, they had completely recoiled inside his skin.
I'm guessing that story didn't end in the way you thought it would. At least not in church, right? With someone stomping on their problems. Sometimes there just isn't a graceful way to exit a rut. For years, the wife in the story had been backing up to give her husband all the space that he needed for his extreme sensitivities. She contorted herself for so long that she became ill. She couldn't take it anymore. Ed Friedman, the author of the fable, is a rabbi. He was a rabbi and a family systems therapist who worked with clergy in all different religious traditions about the family systems that exist and how we can support the health of them. And he said that he wrote this fable to talk about what we think nice means in our families and our congregations. We tell ourselves, oh, it's not nice to say anything. It's nice to step out of the way and just accept people as they are. And he said, religious institutions are the worst offenders at this. In church after church, some member is passively aggressively holding the whole system hostage. And no one wants to call them on it, or fire them, or force them to leave, because it wouldn't be, quote, the Christian thing to do. And he says it has nothing to do with Christianity. Synagogues also tolerate reactive people or abusers, and they don't call them on it because it wouldn't be the Christian thing to do. And we might add the Unitarian Universalist thing to do. There have probably been times in our own lives that we've found ourselves moving out of the way to make room for somebody who's perhaps a little outsized. with the emotional and energy presence that they bring. We might find ourselves squishing ourselves and our values so that we can affirm the worth and dignity of this other person. And we might do this because it feels like, well, that's what's expected of us. But it reminds me of being on soccer teams as a kid. And on one team, the parents were very respectful of the coaches and the referees. And on another team, it was totally acceptable to yell at whoever made a mistake. And my parents complied with each set of rules. And we do this, don't we? We adjust to the people who are around us. We all do this to some extent. When something hard or uncomfortable happens, we tend to turn to the people around us and look for what's the definition of okay here? How are we going to deal with this? And if we see other people accommodating, then we tend to just join in. It's really easy to do. And we get so busy focusing on someone else's behavior that we don't even notice how we are adjusting ourselves and what that's doing, setting aside our own needs, our own limits, to fit ourselves into a complementary shape, the right-sized puzzle piece that will just fit in and keep things okay. Sometimes maybe even fitting ourselves into the shape of a doormat. Sometimes, though, we know we're doing it. And sure, sometimes it's the easier thing to do. We can keep quiet at a holiday meal or tiptoe around a charged topic at a committee meeting. And we might be afraid that if I don't try to control this situation and keep it from confronting, that someone in the group, if we don't keep this under control, someone might turn into a ball of anxiety. Someone might explode. Someone could leave. Or sometimes in our families when we're doing this, we might worry, you're going to make that person start drinking again. Realistically, no one can walk on eggshells without breaking them all of the time. Eventually, your muscles are going to get really tired and you're going to lose your balance. And we end up, like the woman in the story, stomping on them finally because we just can't take it anymore. And we end up stomping on another person or on our own needs, and we injure ourselves. At some point, all of our striving to control a situation or another person will absolutely fail because it is not possible. And when we go along to get along, we actually sign up to let that person take us hostage. Friedman says this just encourages immaturity and irresponsibility in ourselves and in other people. We can't change others. In fact, Reverend Diana has a really cool pillow in her office about what she can change and what she can't. Have you seen this? If you ever need to consult, just know it's there. We can't change others, but we don't have to fit ourselves into a shape and say it's okay for us when it's not. It can be really scary to take up space in new ways in our family systems, in our marriages, in our work settings, and in our congregations. It can be tempting to stay small and just hope it will go away on its own. And sometimes that works, and sometimes it just creates more space for some people to come and take up a lot of room and for other people to be disregarded. Friedman says that another way congregations often accommodate is to invite a person who seems really reactive to be the leader of a team or a new initiative, thinking if only we love them and respect them enough, they'll stop doing whatever their problematic behavior is. We can change them. When in reality, inviting someone into leadership who's been showing problematic behavior, what the person might garner from the invitation is what they are doing is getting them attention and it works for people, so they're going to keep doing it. People don't change because we want them to. People change because they decide to. And we can decide to change ourselves. the mother cat showed the woman there was a different way that she could relate. And despite her scoffing at it, she went home and she tried it, reclaiming some space for her own life to exist and to create a better balance between the two of them. And sometimes things have to get really bad before we're willing to address the dragon running away with our lives. Sometimes we have to be cornered and desperate to become willing to see what is actually going on and what our part might be in it. And this is the shift that is so important and so freeing. The wife only got better when she stopped focusing on fitting his needs. The ganglia only went back inside when they weren't given room to run amok. The dragon only became manageable once it was acknowledged. And sometimes we aren't willing to change our behavior until the pain of remaining the same is hurting us so much. The twitch in the eye, the colitis, the suicidal thoughts, when it becomes so bad for us to stay in the position we're in, that we say, okay, uncle, anything has got to be better than this. And we find the littlest bit of willingness to reclaim the space that we actually need to exist. The space that we gave up, but now realize that we need for our own dignity and our worth to also matter. Fear of not belonging can keep us small, working to fit into the norms of the people around us, giving up our own inner compass in exchange for belonging. Only, is that really belonging? Friedman wrote that he wrote this fable to help us see that we're not truly loving ourselves or anyone else when we have to make ourselves small. We just become enmeshed. Love is not about enmeshment. Love is about being known, being whole, being authentic, taking up space, being responsible for ourselves and in connection with one another. And I love offering this fable at a lot of different congregations because I view it as just as like a little inoculation towards health in any family system. Inoculation against the kind of disease that can be caused by accommodation, by anxiety, by enmeshment. And I don't know what role accommodation plays in your lives, in your relationships, your families, your community here. But I know it ebbs and flows in me, and every time I offer this sermon, I'm like, oh, that's an area I need to work on. It's forever a teaching for me. How do I show up authentically? How do I take up space that honors me and the person I'm in relationship in? Instead of just focusing on their behavior, coming back and inhabiting, RSVPing yes to the one life that I have and to filling it. It's not all or nothing that we do this, and I'm here to offer this fable and these reminders to hopefully encourage you to have some new awareness and courage for some of the places in your life where this message fits. We're given so many opportunities in our relationships and our communities to practice holding space for our values, to shape how we relate with one another, how we can do that more of the time. And I really want to do that. I don't want to be a reactive person. I want to live from my faith and my values and the interconnectedness of all of us. Do you? Yeah, this is a tool you can put in your pocket. How am I fitting into this right now? And is this really my authentic shape? Because we all know what can happen when someone with their nerves on the outside of their body shows up expecting just to be able to take up as much space as they need. But what's more enlivening, interesting, and inspiring is when we actually experience space for each person to belong authentically in community. You know when you enter a room and people hold their space with love for oneself and for another, how palpable that is. It's like they have superhero ninja abilities to just diffuse, not standing against someone, standing for themselves and with others. It's healing. It's transformational. And I love this fable because it reminds us what is at stake. And we have the power to choose how we will hold our lives. This gift of life, it's magnificent. And no matter how you define the mystery with Jewish terms, Christian terms, Buddhist ideas, pagan, otherwise, however you frame the holy, this life is still really amazing. We all deserve to enjoy it, to embrace it, to get to feel comfortable and at ease and alive in our own skin, to truly take up our own space and celebrate this gift we've been given. We're not here to tolerate it, to squeeze through, to move aside. That's not our saving gospel, is it? No, with our first breath, we inherited belonging. We already have our space. And whatever personal or societal harm keeps us from knowing that our space is sacred, well, that's a cry for healing and social change. So when, like me, you find yourselves walking on eggshells again, maybe you'll enjoy cracking them and find some joy in that texture. And perhaps you can say, oh, sweet girl, oh, sweet person that I am doing it again. And then remind ourselves that under the eggshells, we are also held by a ground that runs deeper and older than all human interactions. We are a manifestation of life, held by the earth in a belonging and mystery that we can never fully comprehend, but we can sense. In this way, one person at a time, may we reclaim our own dignity and worth and honor it in our interactions and in our communities, holding space for the sacred gift of life to flourish. May it be so, and amen. Let us sing.
Rise as you are able and join me in singing hymn number 34, the gray hymnal, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. Though I may speak with bravest fire and have the gift to all inspire, and have not
Oh, we got a little behind here. Sorry about that. There we go. May what is shared today help us more fully affirm our interconnection and live into love and justice. Immediately after the service, we gather in the fellowship hall for conversation and community. For those who would like to share their joys or sorrows in conversation in a smaller venue, the Pastoral Care Associates will be leading a Compassionate Connection Circle in the Walnut Room immediately following today's worship service. And now to close our service today, we will sing. No, we just sang. So please rise in body and, well, you can rise in body and spirit if you'd like, but we're going to extinguish the chalice. Please join me in the words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. All these we carry in our hearts and in our minds until we are together again.
Let us go forth, giving and taking space mindfully, compassionately, celebrating the worth and gift of life in all. Amen.